So it was only 1 week ago when the NBA draft of 2023 wrapped up, and we're in this same studio. It looked a little bit different, but we were obviously discussing and dissecting each pick and basically letting the viewers know who we thought the winners and losers of the draft were and our thoughts on the picks. Draft Express has wasted no time in providing a new mock draft for next year's NBA draft. I know it's very early and a lot of things can change, but we just thought we'd dissect that a little bit today and talk about some of the prospects we are looking forward to seeing in the NBA. Next year when it comes time for them to be drafted. So before I begin, I'm just going to let you guys know what Draft Express has said about this particular mock draft. So they said NBA teams still have a lot to learn about this group, especially at the top, where the sense among scouts is that things are completely wide open. New players will undoubtedly emerge both in the college ranks and around the globe, and unlike in previous years, there are rare opportunities for less heralded players to make move into the top 5 portion of the draft. So obviously we know every year production can go up or down. Players can come out of the blue and have an amazing year and put their name on the map, on the radar of NBA scouts. Some guys lack production and their draft stock slips. A lot of things can come into play. Obviously, we saw the situation with Cam Whitmore was a top 5 consensus pick and all of a sudden slides down to 20 due to the concerns in the pre-draft process. So basically, anything that we say now, we can't take this for a grain of salt. Like again,
don't take it literally.
Yeah.
Someone we missed out on, don't be like all up in the comments because it's so early on. Like the collegiate season, it's not even like hasn't started. I don't know when it does start, but it doesn't feel like it's close.
Yeah, I think it's like October or something like that.
There you go.
October, November. So again, there's a lot of time between now and then for things to change and for these orders to shift. So basically, I'll run you through the top 20 projected picks for next year's draft based off Jonathan Gavoni and Jeremy Wu from Draft Express. So Ron Holland goes number 1. He's from G League Ignite. Martes Buzelis is number 2, also part of G League Ignite. We've never seen that before. 2 top picks in the draft being from G League Ignite. So that'll be the first time that's ever happened. So again, a groundbreaking moment for that particular pathway into the NBA. Zachary Risaka from France is pick 3. Isaiah Collier, who's one of my favorite prospects, number 4. Justin Edwards at 5, Cody Williams 6, DJ Wagner 7, Donovan Clingan, the UConn national champion, number 8, Stephon Castle, number 10, and rounding out the top 10, Kyle Filipovsky, and then some other prospects. We'll put them on the screen, the next 11 to 20, but some prominent names there. AJ Johnson at 16 to the Knicks from the Illawarra Hawks as part of the NBL Next Stars program. Tyrese Proctor from Duke, the sophomore, pick number 12. And Bronny James, pick 17 from USC to the Atlanta Hawks. Again, we've seen that he was going to go in the top 10 the previous mock. He's slid down a little bit. But one thing we know is I think a team will take a gamble on Bronny James next year, even if it's in the lottery, because they know that immediately it brings marketability, ticket sales, it brings revenue to that franchise. And a part of it, even though it's not going to meant to be like a circus act kind of thing, bringing him in, because he should be drafted due to legitimate talent, I think the fact that they know they will probably get Bron out of that whole situation definitely helps them in terms of drafting him a little bit higher. So I think that's something to watch out for. Don't roast me, but I think that could possibly happen, that they'll pick him in the lottery despite the fact he's projected to go 17. I think a team would make a swoop on him. But who do you have as your favourite prospects out of that top 20 and just in general for next year's draft, and what do you make of the prospects that are in this particular mock?
So don't get me wrong, I absolutely love the NBA draft. But in terms of the collegiate NCAA, I don't really start following it until the season kind of begins. I do know some of these guys like Isaiah Collier, Bronny James, Ron Holland, Martes Buzelis, even though he's not in college. But I'll just list to you some names that I do really rate coming into the next year's draft, and a lot of these guys aren't projected even lottery, but, living here in Australia, I do watch a little bit of NBL, and I am excited to watch some of these names. So, number 1, obviously AJ Johnson, a 6'6", 6'7" guard, goes to the Illawarra Hawks, a 5-star high school player. hopefully the upside that he does show is pretty high, I reckon. I mean, hell of an athlete. He has the potential to be a great defender in the NBA, I think. Like, he has all the tools. He's versatile. He's long. He's got that body frame to where he's not, like, jacked yet, but, like, his wingspan's huge and he's just real agile, mobile with it. I think he can be a really solid player in this league. And then you add his potential upside to be a great playmaker. Combine those two factors. Looks like a solid shooter. Looks like he has all the upside in the world. So he was my first player. Alex Sarr, who's projected just outside the lottery, another NBL guy this season. He was at OT Elite. A big man, similar to me. He reminds me a lot like a Murray Stoudemire type of player. Really athletic, blocks shots, rebounds well. Looks like he can finish pretty well as well. Solid around the rim, got good touch, can hit the mid-range. I think he'll be a pretty solid NBL player. I don't think he'll be like one of the best big guys in the league because he's not physically there quite yet. But he will be a promising big man in his first year in the NBL for sure, and I think that could push him towards being in the lottery. Seeing that he's like, I think 16 to 19 in the mock. But yeah, we've seen guys like, I don't know if people at home know the name, but Ariel Hockporty, once upon a time, he was a projected first-round talent to be drafted. He's over here at Melbourne, a local Australian team, and he was doing very well until he got injured. So if Sarr can do the same thing, I think he'll go pretty high in the draft, and I think he's a guy to look out for sure. Besides that, though, I mean, I like the look of Stephon Castle. To me, he's like a baby Jamal Crawford, J.R. Smith type of player.
SGA.
SGA for sure. Even like Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Teron Armstrong. To me, this guy was at BYU college, led his conference in triple-doubles, led his conference in assists with about 6.3. Playing at Cairns over here in Australia, a really, really good playmaker, high IQ player, gets his teammates involved, great defender, scores the ball efficiently, can attack the rim, scores from all three levels. So he's definitely a guy to look out for, and I think he will slip into that first round, late first round, if not early second round for sure. He's a guy to look out for.
Yeah, definitely. They're good picks. I like them. Some of them obviously sleeper sort of picks, but you never know. Like I said, what happens with the production. Could have a breakout season. Again, we're just basing it off currently potential and what they've shown so far. We never know what will happen the next 12 months and when the draft does roll around. But for me personally, I've been big on Isaiah Collier since I first witnessed him play, probably in his end of his junior year of high school. Yeah, first time I ever laid eyes on him. No, but I think it's what he brings. He's grown. He's now 6'4", very solid. He's already got that NBA kind of build. Probably one of the most smartest playmakers in the draft as well, in terms of being able to find the open man, play pick and roll, get to the rim at will. He's improved as a jump shooter. I think if he has a productive year at USC alongside Bronny James and alongside Boogie Ellis, I think there's no reason why he can't push his name up to be the number one draft pick next year. Especially with these G League Ignite guys, we've seen like they're always projected to be like the number one, number two picks every year.
Jaden and then Hardy, similar type of build, and then like to me, that's just like Isaiah Collier, but a little bit smaller. Wasn't he projected one? Yeah,
he was like arguably in like, if it wasn't one, he was like top three.
So he didn't play that bad. He just wasn't as efficient as he could have been.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're right.
That's what I'm saying. So even with these guys like Ron Holland, who I like a lot, after I saw his performance at the Hoop Summit and how he could do everything on the court, block shots, defend, be a pest in the passing lanes, get to the rim. I think, his jump shot will definitely come along as well, but because he's got that youth and that potential, hence why they've got him at number one. But you never know. Again, if he doesn't have a productive year, he struggles somewhat in the G League Ignite next year, or this coming season, you never know where they might view him. Probably still be a top 5 pick, but just again, we can't jump too early or jump the gun too early with these kind of things. Martis Buzelis, again, he's got that unicorn kind of potential, and I think him not wanting to go down the college route was probably the smartest thing for him, because he's very much a positionless kind of player. I think when you've got a guy like him who goes to a college system, you might be pigeonholed a little bit in terms of playing the 4 or the 3 or the 2, depending on what, your athletic makeup is. So as well as that, the 35-second shot clock, there's a lot of zone defense that's played. It's not very NBA-like. So I think he wanted to really show off his skills and go to G League Ignite, hence why he made that decision. He mentioned that on the Old Man and the 3, the JJ Redick podcast. So that's another guy to look out for. He might be able to push his name into the number 1 pick credentials. But then again, you look at a guy like one of my favorite players in this draft. He's not in the top 20, but I like Omaha Baloo.
I don't know anything about this guy, so
yeah. So he's from he's gone to Iowa State. He was he was a McDonald's All-American. Played at the Hoop Summit. Previously, he played for the World Team because he's from South Sudan, but he got the American citizenship. So he's a defensive juggernaut. He is very disruptive on the perimeter. He can attack the rim. He's very athletic. He just probably needs to work on that jump shot a little bit. But in terms of if he can provide an impact at the college level this coming season, there's no reason why he can't push his name into the the lottery or around that top 20 mark, because he's currently projected to go like 26. But I did like him as a prospect. Seeing a bit of him during the All-American game and obviously the Hoop Summit as well. So those are some names for me to look at or to keep an eye out on. But yeah, you never know. Like I said, it's so early on now in the piece, and I kind of don't like when they do these early mocks because it's sort of like...
It's useless, really.
Yeah.
Like, so many guys fall out, so many guys go in. Who knows, maybe Bronny James ends up being like...
Top 5 pick.
And he's like, he kills it at USC and he shows why he was a McDonald's All-American, or maybe he doesn't.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's real tricky as well. And, like, obviously so many overseas guys are going to step up to the plate because so many... I feel like EuroLeague and the NBL especially this year, packed with talent, like the most talent. This is probably the most talented year the NBL's ever seen in next starts. Like, they'll have multiple, probably like 6 draft picks, I reckon, 6 or 7. There's so many guys who, not even that they got from America, but also the Europe from France. Like, it really is like growing in. A lot of these guys, they are projected from like 19 to like 30. So you look at that gap, they're in the first round. Who says that one of them's not going to kill? Like Josh Giddey, he wasn't a projected
lottery pick or even a top 10 pick at that matter. So, and then he snuck his way into number 6 because they just showed that potential and he showed what he could do.
Yeah. So they either star or they find themselves at the back of the
rotation.
Yeah. So like people would have thought RJ Hampton would be a lottery pick because he was that guy in high school, but obviously he had games where he killed it. He had games where he stunk it up, but overall on a consistent basis he wasn't like great. Whereas Josh Giddey started off the bench and then consistently just built on what he had. And then he ended up putting like stat lines where it's like 10, 6, and 6 with 2 steals over like 5 to 6 games. And that's enough to make you a lottery talent. We saw that with Ousmane Dieng. I mean, he got picked pretty high. He didn't kill in the NBL. So I know I'm harping on the NBL like way too much because... No,
it's good because like that's where a lot of talent has come from. LaMelo Ball, RJ Hampton, Josh Giddey, Rayan Rupert, even though he was a second-round pick. Like, I
just don't know enough about college at this point.
Yeah, that's all right. Like, it's one of those things. I think with the resurgence or with the surge of other pathways, some colleges maybe taking a back seat to a lot of people's viewership. But I still love it. I still keep a very close eye. But one other guy I'm going to mention. Shout out to Tyrese Proctor. He's a fellow Australian who goes to Duke. Didn't have the best freshman campaign at Duke. I think he was a bit inefficient. Probably didn't have the impact that he was expected to coming in as one of the highly touted 5-star recruits in the nation. But at the end of the day, he's still projected to be in the lottery. If he has a breakout season with these tools, with how young he is, there's no reason why he can't sneak into the top 10, maybe the top 5 of similar ascension to how Josh Giddey did. And it's one of those things where, like I said, we don't know what kind of prospects are out there. Looked at Ja Morant. A lot of people didn't even have him on the radar of being a draft pick. Next minute, he was vying for the number 1 spot with Zion. Obviously, Zion was the clear-cut number 1 favorite at that point. But what Ja did to get to him, become a top 3 pick and surpass RJ Barrett in the race to be the second pick of that draft, it just shows that one burst of form and one breakout college year can be enough to sway an NBA team to pick you at that high draft pick spot. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Again, this was very early. We just thought we'd just do a bit of a feel out of the prospects and just see where everyone's at. But don't take what we say here as like
literal.
it's definitely going to be.
If we forgot a name, don't get on our case because, hey, who knows? Maybe that name's not even their next draft. Not trying to hate, but it's just what it is. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
we're just saying the guys we do like.
Yeah. So that's all we have time for this particular breakdown. Let us know your favorite prospects coming into next year's NBA draft. Like Marcus said, if we missed out on anyone, let us know in the comments.
Don't get on our ass.
Who do you think will be the sliders or the risers of this draft as of previous years, like a similar ascension to a guy like Ja Morant, like I mentioned? We'd love to hear from you. But for now, that's all we have time for. This has been your boy Danko.
It's been Marcus from the Bench Mob.
And that's all we have time for. Peace out.